Hello, Gabe Heller here, Hohenzollern on YouTube and How Now Brown Couch on Twitch. And today I'm going to be showing you how to install Windows 98 and also run Doom for fun on a WYSE thin client SX0. This may work on other WYSEs. They'll need to be internally PCs like this one is. So, first thing we need to do, we're going to want to boot this off of a jump drive. And we're going to need 3 pieces of software, as well as a Windows 98 installation CD, or an image thereof. If you're able to get one of those, you don't have a CD drive anymore. The first tool we're going to need is we're going to need HXD, we're going to need Power ISO, and we're going to need a special version of DOSBox. So I'm going to start by running HXD, and I'm going to need to right-click on it and run it as administrator, and say yes. Now that I've done that, I'm going to need tools, there we go. Tools, open disk. And I'm going to select optical disk one, there we go. Which is the CD drive. Now, what we need to do is there is a bootable 1440K floppy image on here somewhere. In order to find it, we need to search, find, and search for the phrase FAT12. There we are, here it is. It begins here, and it's 1440K big. So if we run our calculator, 1440 times 1024, I'm in programmer mode, is that many, which in hexadecimal is 168000. So if we select starting here, which is at address A800, and we select a length of 168000, then that should be drive. And as you can see, after that we have things that are starting to look like a new file system. So that's exactly what we want, and we're going to save this. I'm going to make a directory on my D drive for all of this stuff. And new folder, there we go. We're calling it WYSE. Okay, and in here we're going to call this boot 98.img. Shouldn't really take 32 minutes to do this. Oh, I accidentally am saving it all. That's not what I want. Let's make this folder size. Save selection. There we are. Boot 98.img. Much more reasonable amount of time. All right. Having saved that image, we need to add a file to it. And for that, we're going to use Power ISO. The trial version is perfectly fine for this. That's what I'm going to use. I'm going to open the file. boot98.img. And there it is. Now what we want to add to this is the format utility. Now, in order to get the format utility, I'm going to get it off of the Win98 disk. Now, you may need to use Power ISO to get this file off of it if you have an ISO or mount it somehow, but I have the actual CD here. And in the file, Win98, format.com, there it is, excellent. So we simply drag this into here, and now it will be in that image. Excellent. Save. Alrighty. Now we need a special version of DOSBox. It is called the DOSBox Megabuild 6. Which you can get from archive.org at this address, archive.org/details/DOSB lowercase ox capital M lowercase egabuild. There it is, and you simply download the Windows executable. All right, I've already done this, so I can now run the DOSBox Megabuild. There it is. Alrighty, so the next thing we want to do is make an image that we're going to store on a jump drive. There it is, image make, img make. Ta-da! Okay, so what we want to do is make the biggest hard drive that will fit on our jump drive, and that's probably going to be 2 gigs for most of you. If you have a really small old one, you might want to make a different size. So image make, it's going to be Win98, and -t hd underscore 2 gig. I believe that's it. There we go. We need to keep track of this. 1023 cylinders, 64 heads, and 63 sectors. Alrighty, so now what we want to do is mount that image. 12, 63, 64, 1023. There we go. That is not correct. It's possible that it's just not seeing it yet. Oh, let's just restart it. Okay, so there it is. Now let's try mounting it. There we go. That's FS none. That's what was necessary. And then we want to boot from this other disk. So then we simply boot with boot 98.img. Ta-da! We want to boot from the CD-ROM. And we want to start it without CD-ROM support because the CD-ROM support doesn't work anyway. Okay, so now we have a disk here, and we should also have a disk at C. There we go. Excellent. Now we just need to format that disk with the system files. This will make a bootable hard drive. A bootable hard drive image, that is. And there we have command.com. Now we've got some hidden files as well. .sys and ms-dos.sys. That should work. All right then. So I'm going to unplug the CD drive at this point and plug in the jump drive that I intend to use. Because I also want to prove that it can run Doom, I've already have the Doom files on here from when I was testing it, so I'm going to copy them off and, to my desktop. There we go. We've got Doom. I don't think we need Doom data. Yeah, no, we don't need Doom data. Just need Doom. All right. So now at this point, your disk would be, your jump drive would be presumably empty, hopefully empty. So all you need to do is write this image to it. Okay, we need Power ISO again. This time we're going to need to run it as administrator. Continue with the trial version. All right. Now, first thing we need to do is open this image. Win98.image, the giant one. Okay, cool. And then we use tools. Create bootable USB drive. There we go. That's the image we want to use. This is the disk we want to put it on. And we want, unfortunately, I guess raw write's our only choice. I thought maybe we'd have another choice. Okay, cool. Let's get started. Yes, you want to overwrite it all. Presumably you've backed up anything that you had on it. Should start with a blank one anyway, probably. All right, the USB drive has completed writing successfully. So I'm going to take it out now. First I'm closing Power ISO. I'm going to take it out. Excellent. We'll hook up the CD drive again. And we need to get the Windows 98 installation files off of it so that we can install them on the WYSE WinTerm. Not a WinTerm. SX0. The WYSE SX0. And it's simply the contents of the Win98 directory. So I'm putting that on my desktop as well, right next to Doom. Now, again, if you don't have the CD or the CD drive, but you have an ISO image, then you'll need to open that image with Power ISO, and you'll be able to get this directory from that instead. All right, now I'm going to unplug the CD drive again and plug in the jump drive again. And because it is a FAT32 partition, it should totally show up as something we can just drag files onto and off of. There it is. All right, now we should be able to boot from this drive.
Okay, we're back. Here we have our WYSE SX0 thin client hooked to this monitor. Here we have the jump drive that we made. Now, first thing we need to do is mess with the BIOS on this. I've already done this, but just to show you what I've done. Hold down delete, press F2 as you're turning it on. I wasn't fast enough. There we go. We need to type in the password, which is fireport, capital F-I-R-E-P-O-R-T. There we go. And then you need to go down here. I've set this to USB. You may find yours is set to none. If so, set it to USB. There we go. And then go save values and exit. You want to put this USB drive that you made in here first. Alrighty. Alrighty. You don't have to hit anything. The default is fine. And here we are. Now let's find out if it can run Doom. That's not particularly fast USB drive. And the drive itself is 3.1, so it's plenty fast, but the connector, the actual port is probably USB 1, so it's not operating at full speed. And we're running Doom. No sound. If that's something you want me to work on, you know, getting sound and the network card and stuff like that, working on this, then that's probably going to be a whole other video, because I don't think that's going to be easy. And here we are, we're playing Doom. Oh, I went too far. Ah! There we go. Oh no. Okay. Oh no. There we go. Ta-da. Okay, ta-da! Now let's see if we can install Windows. First it's going to scan the disk. Everything's fine. There's no system registry, so that was fine. Alrighty, here we are. Windows 98 setup. Log into Windows 98 setup.
And we simply go and click on continue. Make sure the mouse is working. Hit C for continue. During this process, it can be very useful to keep an eye on the jump drive. If the light's flashing, that means you haven't locked up. Alright, we'll select the standard directory, hit tab a couple times. There we are. And next. Typical is fine. Install the most common component, sure. That's all fine, unless you want to change it. I'm in the United States, so let's start copying some files. Windows just got better. Windows 98 helps you get the most out of your computer by making it easier to use, more reliable, faster, and more entertaining.
Alright, setup is now ready to restart your computer. Remove all disks from the floppy disk drives and click OK to restart. We were installing off the disk itself, so it should be fine. My cat is here helping. Hi, cat. Getting ready to start Windows for the first time. Okay, that's enough, cat.
Alright, let's play user. Alrighty. It's time to enter the Windows product key. I think there are ways to get around this by messing with the installation before you start it, but I happen to have one here that works, so I'm going to just use it. The first time I tried this, I locked up the first time through, and I had to run it a second time, but it worked fine the second time. We'll see if that happens this time as well.
We are getting a disk write error on drive C. Data or files may be lost. Press any key to continue. I think this is probably because it detected or tried to detect the USB drives, and this confused it a bunch when it found the drive that it was already talking to was hooked up to the USB. Windows 98 has a feature where if it comes across an error like this while it's setting up devices and looking for resources and things, it will not look there the second time. So we should be able to do this again, and it'll be fine the second time. Can't press any key. The keyboard's locked up as well. Another reason to suspect the USB. So we're just going to power it off and power it on again. It's going to run scan disk here.
Okay, here we are. Time to set the date and time. Now, for some reason, we have to hit OK separate from apply. This part can take a very long time, despite the fact that it says there's 9 minutes left. Alright, here we are. Let's log in. I hooked up a serial mouse. Okay, we have a mouse.
And here we are in Windows 98, running on the WYSE device, thin client. Now you'll notice, with a working mouse, it's a serial mouse here. Now you'll notice if we go to Control Panel here, it takes a little while. It's not exactly zippy.
Just to let you know, this video is over soon. So rub your eyes and scratch your thighs and sing in tune. It's time to find another kind of video, for this one is nearly done, you know.
If we check out system, there are definitely some devices that we haven't loaded drivers for. The Ethernet controller, the audio, the USB. I kind of worry if we load the devices for the USB, we may, disable our boot drive and then not be able to use it anymore. And for some reason this. So if that's something you want me to explore, trying to find the drivers for the devices that are in here and see if I could get them installed, that's something I could try in another video. Or maybe you want me to try and install another operating system on this. I don't know if it can run Windows XP or 95 or 3.1. Well, certainly can run 95 and 3.1, but if you want to see how, then just let me know in the comments. And yeah, bye for now.